Welcome to the Founder and Force Multiplier podcast, where we explore how leaders work together with their right-hand partners to turn ideas into action and build wildly successful businesses. Thank you for tuning in to this week's Founder and Force Multiplier podcast. In this episode, we are going to unravel the why behind the importance of letting control go, particularly by leaders and the impact that it has on their business. We will use some examples of a CEO and their force multiplier, aka right hand. However, this is applicable to all leadership roles out there. Picture this. We're going to lay out a scenario. We have individual number one. Individual number one is the CEO. This CEO we're going to name, I want to do it all myself. This leader is finding themselves continuously flustered and behind. There are so many decisions and tasks that you can complete humanly possible. And when there is a challenge in letting go of control, then this causes for a constraint in what can actually be accomplished. And when you get to this point, you are constantly feeling like you're chasing your tail, running after emails, having large to-do lists that barely get a ding in them throughout the week. Now let's talk about individual number two in this scenario. That is the CEO's right hand, aka force multiplier, aka strategic partner. We are going to name this force multiplier, I am undervalued and underutilized. Now, if you have a business out there, if you are a CEO, a leader, executive, and you feel like you have a force multiplier that may be feeling like this is probably a very good topic to listen into. Usually this individual is feeling helpless and exasperated. They have a very important role, which is to be the proxy to the CEO, to help the CEO focus on the vision, making the right impactful decisions, and driving the direction of the company. That requires the force multiplier to help the CEO unload on things that occupy their time and space in that particular phase. And when there is a constant, I'll just do it, I'm not going to delegate, then it creates for a lack of motivation and finding value in that role. This scenario is an example of an ineffective strategic partnership. This is how you are not multiplying within your business. And your business is really on fire because the ability to scale and grow and expand and execute on the vision is at a constraint at the moment. Now, let's go back to why is this strategic partnership considered ineffective? Well, if we go back to force multiplier, aka named underutilized and undervalued, this scenario can lead to resentment, boredom, feeling unfulfilled, and leaving for more challenging and engaging opportunities. On the flip side, if we go back to CEO, I can't lose control or I have to have control, this can lead to very detrimental impacts of the business, such as the company vision being at risk, limiting innovation and the flow of ideas, misunderstandings, which equate to constant fire drills and hindering, as I stated before, growth and scale for the business. Our amazing founder, Adam Hergenrother, said this really well about the impact of needing control about leaders. When you micromanage, withhold information, and generally control everything, whether intentional or not, you are limiting your ability to do your job as a leader. I also like to use a very old metaphor, and I want this to resonate with everybody listening to this episode today. Love is like a butterfly. Hold it too tight, it'll crush. Hold it too loose, it'll fly. This applies to business and leadership. As a impactful leader, you are not letting go, putting your feet back and, chilling with a mojito at the pool all day long, right? You are instead maximizing the impact of the time you have in order to do the things a leader is to do by providing, like I said before, the ultimate North Star, the vision, direction, and everything that goes with it in order to have the rails and really spend your time building your team, coaching your team, and being the leader that they're looking for. All right, so now you're thinking, how do I do this? Yes, I admit, I maybe have too much control. So now, what do I do? What actions and steps can I take to try to make a difference in how I approach the things that I am having a hard time letting go of? Now, in this situation, these are tried and proven methods by multiple leaders, CEOs, especially from the experiences that we have here at the Founder and Force Multiplier family. However, we continually are growing and evolving professionally and personally. And I want to preface by saying that this is not going to be a change that's going to happen overnight. And don't cause another stress or constraint over you. Implementing small habits and micro habits will multiply and add up to impactful changes in how you lead as a leader. I will go through 5 key steps. Let's talk about step number 1. We've talked about personal and professional growth, but what are some things that you can apply today that will make a change or an impact to you as a leader? This first one is a little bit of a hard pill to swallow. And I will just say that sometimes it's okay to reflect on thyself. Really be truthful with who you are, the actions you take, how you think about things, because that ultimate truth will help you become and evolve into the leader that you're looking to become. Number 1, let go of that ego. You know that ego that tells you that you can do it better? That ego that tells you that you are the one that's right? That ego that makes you feel like your worth is valued if you have involvement. That ego needs to be let go. And there are little things that can be done. I'm not saying go out there tomorrow and just let everything go that you are in control of. That's going to backfire as well. But start small. Little things like, do you really need to answer every email? Do you need to be the only person that can view your calendar? Are there presentations or speeches that someone else can take a first stab at and write first for you? Like, these are just very small habitual changes that can be made. But I feel like making small changes and giving others a chance first might help develop into another habit, a positive habit. If you start letting go of certain things and you are starting in this journey, I would say the feedback that you provide is very important. The feedback that you provide should be clear, concise, and really be open about why, when you delegated a certain task, it was how you wanted it or not how you wanted it. But I would also caution that you're giving feedback constructively, because whatever that was delegated is not adding value to what is needed for the longevity of the firm and the company, not because it isn't your way. That is a very important balance to think about, because we are constantly challenged as leaders that we have done things a certain way. We know that they've worked, and we go in and we apply them. But then we have a very varying thought and we're like, whoa, I didn't really think about it that way. But be open to it and ask yourself, why is their perspective different? Is that the perspective of many? Are my clients going to think it that way? Really open up your horizon and think through those. We know that, letting go, you are going to learn a lot. One of the biggest things that you have to be okay with when you start letting go is being comfortable with the outcome. It may not be the way you want it the first go. That's why the feedback you give is very important. Mistakes can be made. But remember, you can also make a mistake as a leader. We all make mistakes. We learn and grow from them. And it's okay. It's okay. It's part of the process of letting go. And sometimes, you might have to repeat something up front or have a little bit of redo in order to have an awesome strategic partnership and really find that ROI in a force multiplier where you are focusing on growth and scale, and even give yourself time and ability to think, plan, reflect, learn the things that you can apply and give back to your entire leadership and employees and company. And so it is very important to accept that there may be moments at the beginning where the outcome isn't going to be perfect and it's not going to be what you expected. And that is why being clear in your expectation, giving constructive feedback, and really giving the direction of what it is that you are looking for are very critical to being successful long term. Step 2, my friends, and I know you knew this one was coming. You're going to have to, you sure are, you're going to have to delegate that decision making. You don't have to make all the decisions. And start small, just like everything else, right? You can start with decisions that are not that impactful. You make a lot of decisions a day. If you were to sit and count how many decisions a day you make, whether they're small, big, impactful, not impactful, whatever it may be, we are occupying our brain with extensive decision making in a day. There is this old proverb, and that's why the number 7 is a lucky number 7, because neuroscience has taught us that in our frontal cortex, we can really retain 7 key thoughts one time. And that's why you will see presidents and executives apply what they call the Einstein method, where, they will remove certain minute decision making out of their lives, and so they have more room to make impactful decisions, like what they're going to eat every day or what they're going to wear every day. That is why you see leaders wearing the same types of clothes every day. Now, I'm not saying go be that leader. I'm not that leader because, for me, my clothes define my character and a little bit of pizzazz, but that is the reason a lot of people do it. You have to let go of things that are occupying that space. And one of the best ways to do it is to set parameters. When you set parameters and process around some of these decision-making points, then it creates a little bit more comfort and the ease of delegating. For example, if you are following a rigorous budget and a forecast, and you have specific items within a budget, do you really need to see every single expense that comes through, or everything that's already budgeted and within budget or even under budget to come your way? Most likely not. You probably already have a quarterly review for all your financials, and you're going to know, or even monthly or whatever it may be. Put parameters around what types of communications you can delegate. Put parameters around even simple things like emails. Do you really need to respond to every single email? What types of emails can be delegated? What types of meetings can be delegated? Do you need to be in every meeting? Unless there's a real decision or information that is needed from you, Do you really need to be in every single leadership meeting? That's another thing to ask yourself. Now, of course, being present and providing direction and all those things that a good leader does doesn't go away just because you've delegated and you've decided that certain meetings don't require your presence. And if you want to start out small and you know there's certain meetings that you're like, okay, you know what? I really don't have to be in these meetings, but receiving meeting minutes will help because I'll know if everybody's on the same page. By all means, then that's a great way to start. And these are the small habits that can be put in place where you can start learning to let go and really build that space you need to make the impactful decisions that are going to drive the growth of your business. Step 3, let's talk about creating structure around reporting and regular updates. Look, as a leader, there is nothing wrong with wanting to be informed. It is actually very important to be informed. It is the way the information is transferred across teams and leadership that's the most important process to focus on. If there are no processes in place that help define what a priority's specific goals are and specific metrics that will measure what success looks like, then it is very difficult to get appropriate information at hand about certain things. So it is important to develop, one, the cadence around how information is received, determine what information is needed, and 3, what are the metrics that are going to drive what equates to success, and what are the detective controls that are put in place to determine early if something isn't going the way it should be, whether through specific trends, whether through red flags that you've deemed red flags for certain processes early on in the process. These things are very important. It is human nature that when there is a gray area or when there is unknown, to have the need to quickly jump and try to close that gap. That creates angst, anxiety, sending off emails at all hours of the day to get updates to multiple people to figure out what's happening. You want to avoid that as much as possible. That will drive your employees a little crazy when all the requests are kind of frequent and unexpected. So really setting the foundation of what is expected and how to measure what you're expecting. Everyone's heard the old saying, right? Inspect what you expect. It's very important to set the right parameters and metrics in place. And usually a really good chief of staff does that. A good force multiplier, actually, that is part of their role. And once you have all that set up, delegate to your force multiplier or other team members to be that force for you to get the information or whatever it may be. But that's a very simple, structural, process-oriented way today that you can help with the information flow, with the decision flow, and with how much time is being spent in order to gain the information needed for the specific priorities or objectives for the department, the company, the line of business. So now that you're going to go out there, set your priorities, get your SMART specific goals, get your metrics, get your reporting in place, how do you continue to feel comfortable and continue to have the communication and the clarity with your team? It is very important. Step number 4 talks about scheduling regular meetings with key team members, weekly one-on-ones. Go through your priorities, readjust priorities, call audibles when needed. Are new projects required? Are old projects not impactful or valuable? Do you need to make a pivot anywhere? Make key decisions together. Answer open questions. This helps everybody because there's constant structured communication and clarity and direction being provided, which helps everybody feel more accomplished and have more information to do what they're set out to do. And this is a very contagious, positive impact that trickles down across the company. This will help not only you as a leader execute, it'll help your leadership team and Force Multiplier be the best version of themselves, and you can continually evolve and be the leader that you want to be. The common theme throughout this podcast is providing clarity and context. In number 5, we talk about how providing clarity and context can be done through the right communication methods, which we talked a little bit about with the scheduled one-on-ones and setting the expectations and priorities, and coaching. As a leader, it is so important that you coach and turn your employees to become leaders as well. It is even more important to teach your Force Multiplier how to think and communicate like you. That is going to be the most valuable extension of yourself, and you are going to see that your investment and the ROI into your leadership team and your right hand, your Force Multiplier, are going to create multitudes of impacts for your business. When leaders put in the time to clearly communicate their expectations, provide context about particular issues, and then coach and mentor their teams along the way, they are going to be a lot more. As a CEO, as a leader, as an executive out there, you are going to feel more comfortable letting go and delegating. And it starts with the foundation. If you can build your foundation, if you can build your team up, and you can constantly be that mentor, that voice, the teacher and the coach, you are going to see a very big difference in how your organization culture is, how your leadership team works together. And it is very interesting how when there is clarity and context and direction and proper measurements in place, that it creates cohesion amongst teams, because there are singular goals that everybody's targeting to reach, but they ultimately meet and conjoin together at the company's North Star. So now let's talk about why this all is so important and requires investment into your Force Multiplier and your leadership team. I'm going to state a quote from our founder, Adam Hergenrother, one more time, because he summed it up so well, there's no other way to say it. If you are unwilling to spend the time coaching and communicating, then you are only doing a disservice to both of you. You will continue to lack leverage, and your Force Multiplier will continue to feel underutilized. Leaders provide clarity and teach their teams. Believe me, it will provide a 10x return on your time and energy when you do. Thank you so much for tuning in. We really appreciate all your support and cannot wait to hear about your own success stories. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with the latest podcast episodes. Don't forget, follow us on Instagram and LinkedIn at the links in the show notes for more free resources and other news. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you back here next week.